With way too much fruit and veg in the supermarkets coming from abroad, I'm paying a visit to an amazing apple farmer in Tip, who's leading the charge with Irish-grown produce.
The farm started in 1967 when my parents came from Holland to live here. They were already involved in fruit growing in Holland, but it wasn't easy to get land there. And there was an electrician who was emigrating from Ireland and he was selling this farm, so they bought it and started growing fruit here. It took them a lot longer than they thought. I think they reckoned that within 10 years they'd have the whole place covered in fruit, but it took nearly 50 years, but kind of getting there now all right. There's usually about 1,000 trees to the acre, so that's about 10,000 trees altogether that we would have on 10 acres, and we've got 40 acres, so 40,000 trees altogether, you could say. I suppose about half our apples are sold fresh. That would be cooking apples that might go to bakeries or to people who call in and collect them directly. A quarter of the apples would end up being juiced, and then the other quarter would go to Bulmers. Most of the apples in the world are grown in places, with the kind of temperatures that we might associate with France or southern Italy or, somewhere warmer than here. So the varieties Irish growers in general grow tend to be, different to the ones that you'll get in the shops.
So Con, if you're going to plant an apple tree in your garden, what's the best time of the year to do that?
We would generally try and plant in November or December, or then again when the soil starts to dry out again, maybe in March. Okay. Try not to go too late. You're better off really doing it during the winter months while there's no leaves on the tree.
Is there a sort of a basic principle about pruning that?
Yeah. When the trees are young, we try to get them into a kind of an A shape.
Right.
So you can see there's a bit of string around these branches here. Yeah. These branches were pointing up like that main branch there, and last year we tied them to horizontal. So you can see the consequence of that is that you're spreading the tree out sideways, and branches which are horizontal are more inclined to give fruit than ones which are growing up.
Fair enough. Like, how long is it going to be before you get your first fruit?
Well, you can see this tree here has already got 12 or 15 fruit on it, and it's only here 2 years. It's probably got a few more fruit than it should, but we can still take off a few, before the harvest.
Okay, so it's quite relatively quick return, and then within a couple of years, you're hopefully getting.
The tree will get bigger, and it will give more. It will be able to give more fruit as it gets bigger.
What's the scale of imports coming in?
Yeah, unfortunately in Ireland, most of the apples we consume are imported. All right, so like 90 to 95%, depending on the year. So we eat about 100 million euros worth of apples in Ireland every year, and 95 million euros worth of those are from abroad.
That is crazy. But I presume as consumers, like we can ask for Irish apples, we can be willing to pay a little bit more to support amazing farmers like yourselves, get the better flavours, the better diversity and all of that. We have that power as consumers.
Absolutely, and there's an environmental benefit to eating locally produced foods as well. The tricky part for people buying apples is that they're not going to probably be familiar with a lot of the Irish varieties, so they might be reluctant then to try them if they do see them in a shop. I suppose that's one of the advantages of getting people to grow their own apples. If they do that, they'll build up a familiarity with some different varieties that do grow well here. Hopefully they'll seek them out then from Irish growers.